Hello and welcome to my channel, Crochet and Copy. My name is Judy. Today I'm going to show you how to create this cute fox, Teddy the Fox. This is part 1, so stay tuned. So I want to show you the measurement of Teddy the Fox before we get started. Let's say he is from the top of his head to the bottom, about 6 inches. So that's when he sits up. He sits up by himself, you get about 6 inches. So let me show you now the materials you're going to need in order to make Teddy the Fox. So these are the supplies or materials we're going to be using for our fox, Teddy the Fox. Let me go over them with you. The yarn we're going to be using is acrylic. It's the 4 medium worst weight. You're going to be using it in black, white, orange. You're going to be using some sewing pins. Our hook size that we're going to be using is the E4. It's the 3.50 mm, a stitch marker. We're also going to be using our yarn needle. And we have our safety nose. The safety nose, the size is the 14 mm, and we have the back, of course, for it, and also with the eyes. We're going to be using the safety eyes, and the safety eyes is the 10 mm with the safety back to keep them on. So we need 2 of those. You have our scissors we're going to be using, and of course we're going to be using our stuffing to go into it, to stuff our bear. So these are the supplies we're going to be using. So let's get started. So we're going to start off by making our head. And our head called for us to make an adjustable ring. So this is how I do my adjustable ring, but please feel free to do it the way you're comfortable with. I take my yarn, I drape it over my 2 fingers, I let it fall to the back, take my hook, put it between, and I yarn over and I pull up. So I have a loop on my hook, and I have a circle and a tail. And you could adjust the tail a little bit to work with your adjustable ring better, but don't put it all the way through. And we're going to do 1 chain to hold the adjustable ring in place. A chain is yarn over again and pull through that loop that we had. So now you did 1 chain, and that doesn't count as a stitch. It's just to hold the adjustable ring in place. So now we're going to put 6 single crochet into our adjustable ring, and this will be our first one. Since we're working the spiral, we're going to put our stitch marker in so that we know where our row starts. And if you can, keep your stitches as tight as you can. So that's 1. So back down into our adjustable ring, yarn over, pull up, and then yarn over and pull through. It's the second one, and that's 3. So keep on working at that till you get 3 more in your adjustable ring. So that will make 6, and I'll meet you there. So we have 6 of our single crochet in our adjustable ring, and count them by starting with our stitch marker. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now to close up our adjustable ring, we're going to pull our tail tight, and we closed up our adjustable ring. So now that was for round 1. So in the completion of round 1, you have 6 stitches. So now round 2, take out your stitch marker, and for round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochet into each stitch that we did from round 1. So at the completion of round 2, you should have 12 stitches. Put your stitch marker back into that first stitch. Remember, try to keep your stitch as tight as you can. I like to pull it on it so we know we keep it nice and tight. And then yarn over again, pull up a loop. You got 2 strands of yarn on your hook, then yarn over and pull through. That's your single crochet. So that's 1. So the next stitch, yarn over, pull up, and then yarn over, pull through, and back down into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up, and yarn over, pull through. So that's what the pattern is. You're going to put 2 single crochet into each stitch around till you get back to your stitch marker, and I'll meet you there. Keep on working. So for the completion of round 2, you have your 12 stitches. So now round 3, take out your stitch marker. And for that first stitch, where we took out our stitch marker from, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. And then for round 3, our pattern is we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and that's 2. So remember, the pattern is 1 single crochet, next stitch will be 2 single crochet. I'll do one more set with you so you can see. So this is 1, and the next stitch will be 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and that's 2. So the completion of round 3, you're going to have your 18 stitches. So remember, again, it's 1 stitch, 1 single crochet into that stitch, and then the next stitch will be 2 single crochet. So keep on working, and remember, again, 18 stitches. I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 3, you have the 18 stitches. Take out our stitch marker. Round 4, we're going to do 1 single crochet into that first stitch. Put our stitch marker back in. And now the next stitch is just 1 single crochet. And the following stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, yarn over and pull up, yarn over and pull through your 2 loops on your hook. So that's 2. So the pattern is 1 single crochet, next one 1 single crochet, and the next stitch will be 2 single crochet. So I do another set with you so you can see the pattern. So that will be 1 single crochet, next stitch 1 single crochet, and the following would be 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and 2. So that's the pattern we're going to do for round 4. And remember, at the end of round 4, you're going to have 24 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern, and I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 4, you have your 24 stitches. Take out your stitch marker. Now for that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in, and the pattern for round 5 now is for the first 3 stitches we're going to put 1 single crochet. So that was 1, 2, and 3, and the following we put 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and 2. So remember, the pattern for round 5 is the first 3 stitches you're going to put 1 single crochet, and the next stitch will be 2 single crochet. So that's the pattern for round 5, and then the completion of round 5, you have your 30 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern. I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 5, you completed your 30 stitches. So round 6, take out our stitch marker, and for that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. So now round 6, what we're going to do is for the first 4 stitches, we're going to put 1 single crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 single crochet, then the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochet. 1, and then back down into that same stitch, and 2. So the pattern for round 6 is we do 4 stitches with 1 single crochet, and the next stitch will be the 2 double crochet. So keep on working around in that pattern. So you will have 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet, and the next will be your double single crochet. So keep on working. I'll meet you back here, and remember, at the completion of round 6 you have your 36 stitches. So for the completion of round 6 you have your 36 stitches. Now take out your stitch marker. We're going to start round 7. For that first stitch we're going to put 1 single crochet right into that stitch. Put your stitch marker back in. So the pattern for round 7 is we're going to put 1 single crochet in the first 5 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now for the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. So the pattern for round 7 is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the 5 stitches, and then the next will be your double crochet. So keep on working with that pattern for round 7, and when you finish you have your 42 stitches. I'll meet you at the stitch marker. So for the completion of round 7 you have your 42 stitches. Now round 8, take out our stitch marker. For that first stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker in. So for round 8 the pattern is we're going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So it's just 1 single crochet, that's all for the 42 stitches. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this for round 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, all the way till you get to round 12, and I'll meet you there. It's 1 stitch mark in each stitch. You put 1 single crochet. So you finish off with your 42 stitches, and I'll meet you there and I'll show you what to do next. Remember, what helps too for me is to just jot down what row you're at, so in case someone come in to talk to you or do something, you have to go run an errand, you know where you're at. So round 8 through 12, I'll meet you at round 12, 42 stitches. Keep on working. So we finished round 12, and this is how our head looks so far. So now we're going to put in our safety eyes. That's just so I don't lose my spot. So with the safety eye, I like to say where we have our stitch marker is the back of the head, and then this is the front of the head. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the safety eyes around 9 and 10. So how I like to do it is do it from the stitch up count, because we did round 12, 11, 10, and that will be 9. So our safety eye is going to go right between row 10 and 9. Put it here. And for the other one, I like to do it at least between 5 to 4 stitches apart. And the thing with the safety eye, before I put it on so I can show you, it has little grooves in the back of it. So we're going to clip it on with our safety back. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just follow along with the next safety eye. That looks pretty good. Now to put on the back, usually you put it on, well, that's how they say to put it on, but I have a hard time putting it on that way. So what I do is I actually turn it, if you will say, the wrong side, and I clip it on that way, because to me it's a little easier. It snaps in a little better for me, and it stays, it doesn't really move. And the thing is, with the safety eye, when you put on the back, since it has the groove, it really stays on. So you have to make sure that when you do your safety eye, it really stays on to where you want it to go. And like I say, you hear it and you feel it snap on as you go. in each little groove. So that's our safety eye, how it looks. So now with this round also too, what I like to do is to actually sew the eyebrow on now before we close up everything and stuff it. So I took my black yarn and I used my yarn needle, and I'm just gonna go up top above it. What I like to do is just go above, so I do at least, I would say, about 3 rows up. So that's 1, 2, 3, and I go over a little bit from the back. You have the back tail. So I have a little knot at the end of my yarn. So what I like to do too is just see, like, you go 1, 2, so it's between here, between the, you would say the 2nd and 3rd stitch, and just go up in the middle, and then you have 1, 2 between, again, the 2nd and 3rd stitch. Let's see how it looks in the back. Then I give it enough space that I could castillo. So do about 3 stitches over. 1, 2, 3. But I like to angle it a little bit up above the row. So the row we were here, so take it a little bit above. And with this, what I like is, if I don't like how it looks, I could go back out and take it off and then do it again, because I'm still working with the head. You could move it around. All right, for the next one, let's see how the back is. So I skip at least, you do 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, but up here. So we're gonna bring it up here from the back. And now go down, remember, from the row that we were, and we take it down a little bit down to the side to try to match up, because we take it like 1 row down. You see how we got 1 row, we skip, go between. So okay, I think the eye looks good there, and the eyebrow. And so we got it. That's how inside look. Sew it on. So now what we're gonna do is just make a little knot and cut off our tail. So now we're going to start round 13 after we finish putting on our eye and our eyebrows from round 12. So for round 13, the pattern is take out our stitch marker, and for that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet, put our stitch marker back in, and now for the following 5 stitches, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So that was 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. So now for what we're going to do is what is called a single crochet tug together stitch. So I'll show you how to do that. You go into the next stitch, then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up a loop of yarn, and you're going to do the same thing for the next stitch. You go down into that stitch, yarn over, pull up, and then you have 3 strands of yarn on your hook, and then yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 3 of them, and that's a single crochet tug together. So that's the pattern for round 13. We're going to do the 5 stitches. We're going to put 1 single crochet, and the next we will do tug together. So keep on working with that pattern. When you complete round 13, I'll meet you there, and at the end of it you're going to have 36 stitches. Keep on working. So the completion of round 13, you have your 36 stitches. Now for round 14, take out our stitch marker, and we put 1 single crochet into that first stitch. The pattern now for round 14 is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 4 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the next stitch we're going to do what we did previously around 13 is the tug 2 together single crochet. So remember again, is go down into your hole, yarn up, pull up, back, then you go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up. So you have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of them at the same time. So that's the pattern again for round 14. It's you do 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then following 2 you would tug together. So keep on working with that pattern, and at the end of round 14 you're going to have 30 stitches. So I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 14, we have our 30 stitches. Take out our stitch marker. Now for that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet and put back in our stitch marker. And the pattern for round 15 is we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches. So that was 1, 2, and 3. And then the next stitch we're going to do, well, the next 2 we're going to do the tug together. So remember, it's go down into that stitch and the next stitch, do the same thing down, yarn over across our 3 strands, and that's the pattern for round 15. You're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches, and then the following 2 you're going to tug together, and then at the end of round 15 you're going to have your 24 stitches. So I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. Keep on working. Now for the completion of round 15, you have your 24 stitches. Take out our stitch marker. Now for that first stitch, 1 single crochet, put our stitch marker back in, and now for round 16 we're going to do, for the first 2 stitches we're just going to put 1 single crochet. So we did 2 already, and now what we're going to do is the tug together again. So it's go down into that stitch, yarn over, pull up, next stitch, go down into that stitch, yarn over, pull up, and then pull across your 3 strands of yarn on your hook, and that's your tug. So the pattern is for round 16 is you're going to do, in the first 2 stitches you're going to put 1 single crochet, and the next 2 you will tug together. So at the end of round 16 you have your 18 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern, and when you get back to your stitch marker, I'll meet you there. Now for the completion of round 16 you have your 18 stitches. So we're gonna now stuff it. So this is how our little head looks so far with stuff in it. I like it nice and firm. You do it, gives a little bit when you move it, when you squeeze it I should say. So now for round 17, take out our stitch marker And for that first stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And put your stitch marker back in. And now the pattern for round 17 is the first 7 stitches. We're going to put 1 single crochet. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the following 2 we're going to tug together stitches. So that's our first down, and then yarn over, and the next one we have the 3 loops and pull across all 3, and that's it. So the pattern for round 17 is the first 7 stitches you're going to put 1 single crochet, and the following 2 you'll put your tug together, you pull them together, single crochet. On the completion of round 17 you have 16 stitches, so keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. For the completion of round 17 we have our 16 stitches. So now round 18, take out your stitch marker, and for that first stitch we're just going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in, and then for round 18 the pattern is we're going to do 1 single crochet around. So you're going to have your 16 stitches, and just before you get back to the stitch marker, the last stitch, I'm going to meet you there and show you what to do. So just 1 single crochet around to the last stitch. Keep on working till you get there. I'll meet you there. So we made it to our last stitch because we did 15. So now this will be 16, and to finish off our head, now what we're going to do is a slip knot stitch. So this is how you do it. You go down into that stitch, yarn over, and we're going to pull through completely that loop that we had on our hook, and there you go. So that's a slip knot stitch, and I like to do 1 chain, that, and then just make sure it stays in place, and then I give it a little bit of tail and I cut it off so I don't lose it or my head unweave out. So this is how our little head look. So I cut my yarn, and so now if you like, I don't mind doing this, I give it a little bit more stuffing so he's nice and firm. So now we're going to start the body. We're using the orange yarn, and we're going to make an adjustable ring. So adjustable ring again is just yarn over your fingers and then pull up loop, and you have your adjustable ring. And then you do your chain, 1 chain, and the adjustable ring, we're going to put 6 single crochet into that adjustable ring. So remember, first stitch, always put your stitch marker in. So we did our 6 stitches of single crochet into our adjustable ring. So now we're going to close it up. And for round 2, we take out our stitch marker. And for round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochet into each stitch around. So that's the first one. Put your stitch marker back in. And back down into that same stitch, you're going to put another single crochet. The next stitch, 2 single crochet, so that's 1, back down, and 2. So the pattern for round 2 is you're going to put 2 single crochet into each stitch around, And at the completion of round 2, you have your 12 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 2, you have your 12 stitches. So round 3, take out our stitch marker. That first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. So now for round 3, the pattern is we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and the next stitch we're going to put 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that stitch, and that's 2. So that's the pattern for round 3, 1 single crochet, and the next will be 2 single crochet. And at the completion of round 3, you have your 18 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. For the completion of round 3, we have our 18 stitches. Take out our stitch marker. For round 4, put 1 single crochet into our first stitch. Put your stitch marker back in. Now for round 4, we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. So that was 1 and 2. In the next stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet. So 1, back down into that same stitch, you put another 1. And there you go. So the pattern is the first 2 stitches, you're going to put 1 single crochet. On the following, you put 2 single crochet. So at the completion of round 4, you're going to have your 24 stitches. So keep on working. I'll meet you there. Completion of round 4, you have your 24 stitches. So round 5, take out our stitch marker. In that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. And the pattern for round 5 is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first three stitches. So that was 1, 2, and 3. And the next stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet. So that's 1. Back down into that same stitch, and 2. So the pattern for round 5 is 3 stitches you'll have the 1 single crochet, and the next will have 2 single crochet. And then at the completion of round 5, you're going to have 30 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. For the completion of round 5, you have your 30 stitches. Round 6 now, take out your stitch marker. And for that first stitch, 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. And the pattern for round 6 is the first 4 stitches we're going to put 1 single crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the next we're going to put 2 single crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and that's 2. So the pattern is for round 6 is 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches are going to have 1 single crochet, and the next stitch will have 2 single crochet. So at the end of round 6, you have your 36 stitches. Keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 6, we have our 36 stitches. So for round 7, take out our stitch marker, and for that first stitch we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put our stitch marker back in. And the pattern for round 7, and we're going to do round 8 the same. It's just 1 single crochet into each stitch around, so you're going to have 36 stitches. So I'll meet you at the completion of round 8. So remember, it's just 1 single crochet around. Keep on working. For the completion of round 8, we have our 36 stitches. So now round 9, take out our stitch marker. And for that first stitch, we're going to put 1 single crochet. Put your stitch marker back in. So for round 9, the pattern is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the next 2 stitches we're going to tug together. So it's going to be the tug to single crochet together. So again, remember, it's to go into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you're going to draw through all the 3 loops of yarn you have on your hook at that time. So the pattern is, again, you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochet, and the next 2 stitches you're going to tug them together. So at the end of round 9 you're going to have 30 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern to get back to stitch marker. I'll meet you there. So for the completion of round 9, we have our 30 stitches. So round 10, take out our stitch marker, and we're going to put 1 single crochet into our first stitch. Put your stitch marker back in and close it up. So the pattern now for round 10, 11, 12, and 13, you're going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So you're going to end off with having your 30 stitches. So remember, again, I'll meet you back at round 13 when you finish that. So we're at round 10, 30 stitches. Keep on working. So the completion of round 13, this is how it looks so far. So now for round 14, I'm going to take out our stitch marker, and the acrylic yarn make a certain kind of noise when you work with it, so excuse the noise from the acrylic with the needle. So put the stitch marker back in. So that's 1. So the pattern for round 14 is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Sorry about the noise. And then the next 2 stitches we're going to tug together single crochet. So remember, again, it's yarn over, pull up, and then go down into your next stitch, yarn over and pull up, and you have your 3 loops of yarn on your hook, and then you're going to pull through all 3 of them at the same time. So the pattern again for round 14 is 1, 2, 3 stitches. You're going to have 1 single crochet, and the next 2 we're going to tug them together single crochet. So for the completion of round 14, you're going to have 24 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. So for the completion of round 14, we have our 24 stitches. Take out our stitch marker. Now round 15, put 1 single crochet into that first stitch. Put your stitch marker back in. And the pattern for round 15 is we're just going to put 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So at the completion of round 15, you have your 24 stitches. So remember, it's just 1 single crochet around. I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. So for the completion of round 15, we have our 24 stitches. So now round 16, take out our stitch marker, and for that first stitch we're going to put 1 single crochet, and then put your stitch marker back in. So the pattern for round 16 is we're going to put 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitch, and again, sorry for the noise with the yarn and the hook. We're going to tug the next 2, so yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull up, and then we're going to pull through all 3 of them at the same time. So remember, the pattern for round 16 is you're going to put 1 single crochet into the 2 following stitches, and the next 2 you're going to tug together. So by the end of round 16, you're going to have 18 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern, and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker. For the completion of round 16, we have our 18 stitches. So now round 17, take out our stitch marker. We're going to put 1 single crochet into our first stitch. Put your stitch marker back in. So the pattern for round 17 is the first 7 stitches we're going to put 1 single crochet. So we have our 7 stitches. So the next we're going to tug together. So yarn over, pull up, go to the next stitch, yarn over, pull up, and pull through all of them at the same time. So the pattern for round 17 is we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first 7 stitches, and then we're going to tug the next two together. So at the completion of round 17, you're going to have 16 stitches. So keep on working with that pattern and meet you there. So for the completion of round 17, we have our 16 stitches. So now round 18, take out our stitch marker and we're going to put one single crochet into that first stitch. And the pattern for round 18 is we're going to put one single crochet into each stitch around. But before you get to your last stitch, back to your stitch marker, I'll show you what to do next. So remember, just one single crochet. I'll meet you there and I'll show you what to do next. We're at the last stitch of round 18, so we're going to do a slip knot stitch. And remember, again, it's go into your stitch and you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to carry that loop all the way through to your remaining loop that you had in your hook. So you pull it all the way through, and there you go. And of course, we're going to do one chain to hold it together, and this is the point where we're going to leave a long tail so we could sew on to our head, because this is our body. And I like to leave enough tail so that you don't have no worries about sewing it on. You just cut it and you get, because you always could cut off the remaining with no problem, but you want to have enough to sew on your head. Okay, and pull it. There you go. So now we could take out our stitch marker and we're going to stuff it with our little stuffing. So I stuff it till I feel it get. We're not going to stuff it too much in the sense of the, like, but we did our stitches nice and tight, so it won't, our little stuffing won't show through our stitches, but I give it a nice enough to make it sturdy so it could like stay up by itself. You still have a little room. And that's it for the body. Nicely stuffed. That's it for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.